Hegel on freedom. What does it really mean? G.W.F. Hegel, a titan of 19th century German philosophy, often feels like a steep, forbidding mountain in the intellectual landscape. His ideas on freedom are particularly dense, yet they offer one of the most profound and genuinely original perspectives in modern thought. A view that moves far beyond the simple notion of doing what you want. For Hegel, freedom isn't a given state or a mere absence of constraint. It's an intricate, dynamic achievement that unfolds both historically and individually. The flawed freedom of the natural will. To truly grasp Hegel, we must first set aside the common, almost instinctual understanding of freedom, what he might call the freedom of the natural will. This is the freedom of immediate impulse, of capriciousness, of saying, "I want this now," and acting on it. Think of a child throwing a tantrum, or an adult spontaneously quitting a job without a plan. This type of freedom, while feeling potent in the moment, is ultimately unfree. Why? Because the natural will is a slave to its own desires and external circumstances. It doesn't choose its impulses, they simply arise. If my freedom consists of merely satisfying the strongest urge I have, I am not the master of my will, but its servant. Hegel sees this as a state of mere negativity, freedom from something, which is important, but only the starting point. It's the freedom to negate a rule, but not the freedom to posit a meaningful rule for oneself. Moving to subjective or moral freedom, the birth of conscience. The next, higher stage is subjective freedom, or what we often associate with moral responsibility. This is the freedom articulated by thinkers like Kant, the capacity to act not from inclination, but from a rational, self-imposed moral law. It's the moment when the individual steps back from their immediate desires and asks, "Is this right?" or "Is this what I, as a rational being, ought to do?" Here, I achieve a true inner liberation. I am only bound by the law I give to myself. My will is autonomous. I become a person with a right to an inner life and an inviolable conscience. This is a massive leap forward. However, Hegel argues this is still incomplete and potentially problematic. The weakness of subjective freedom is its abstractness. My purely inner moral convictions can become utterly private and self-justifying, leading to a kind of moral fanaticism or a retreat into the beautiful soul that judges the world without engaging with it productively. If my truth is only mine, it lacks objective validity and risks being purely arbitrary. The summit, objective or ethical life, Sittlichkeit. Hegel's most unique and crucial contribution is the idea of objective freedom, realized through ethical life, Sittlichkeit. This is where freedom moves out of the private mind and becomes concrete, visible, and truly reciprocal. Objective freedom is realized when the individual's subjective will is identical with the objective rationality embedded in the world around them. Where do we find this objective rationality? In the established, rational institutions of a functional society, the family, civil society, and the state. 1. The family. This is the first immediate expression of ethical life, driven by love and mutual trust. Freedom here is found in the willing surrender of one's solitary self for the sake of the collective unit. 2. Civil society. This is the realm of economic activity, individual self-interest, and the system of needs, the marketplace. It is the sphere where subjective freedom runs wild, but is kept in check by institutions like the legal system and the administration of justice. The freedom here is the right to pursue one's own ends, recognized and protected by all. 3. The state. The state, in Hegel's idealized sense, not any particular regime, is the ultimate realization of concrete freedom. The individual finds his highest, most rational freedom through participation in the state's institutions. Why? Because the laws, institutions, and constitution of a truly rational state are not arbitrary constraints imposed from outside. They are the embodiment of the collective, universal will that every rational individual already wills for themselves. In this ethical framework, freedom is achieved not by fighting against the rules, but by recognizing oneself in the rules. When I pay taxes, I am not merely being coerced. I am actively willing the infrastructure, education, and security that benefits me and my community. When I obey a just law, I am obeying the objective expression of my own rational will. Hegel's true answer to what does freedom really mean is freedom is living a life where the universal institutions you participate in are not experienced as alien constraints, but as the concrete, self-conscious expression of your own rational will. It is the realized unity of doing what you want, subjective desire, with doing what is right, objective law, within a rational, self-governing community. It is a shared, institutionalized, and fully recognized existence, a magnificent symphony of individual wills playing in perfect harmony. If this deep dive into Hegel's concept of freedom resonated with you, hit that like button if you found this perspective genuinely thought-provoking. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss our next philosophical adventure. And please, drop a comment below. What do you think is the greatest obstacle to achieving this kind of objective freedom today? Let's discuss.